think everybody that's going to be on is going to be on. So if you don't mind, I will get started. So we'll open up the meeting. It's October 7th at 4:09. This is the temporary fire station subcommittee meeting. And I believe the city will be recording this meeting. Mayor, will you be doing that? Or Chief, I don't have the controls for that. But can you
Hold on. Yes, I will be.
Okay.
I just need to do that.
Okay, and is there anybody else out in the public that will be recording this meeting? Okay, I got you. Thank you. And I wanted to mention that if Peter is able to stay on the call and doesn't get a call out, he has graciously volunteered to take the meeting minutes for us while Jen is away. So thank you, Peter. Let me know if you have to run, okay?
Well, strangely enough, I can't see where. Oddly enough, Chief, it's you that has to, you have to hit the record button. You're in as the host.
Yeah, it looks like Chief, you're the host. I've asked, you're on mute, Chief.
Recording.
Hey. Sorry, go ahead. Say it again.
It's recording.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I've asked Bill about becoming the host moving forward, and he's going to give me a little lesson on that. So, but okay. Thank you, Chief. And Peter, did you hear me? I think you were on mute also.
Keep it posted. I have to go.
All right, Leah, let me know if you have to run, okay?
You got it.
All right. All right. I'll take a roll call for the meeting. Chief Strahan,
Here.
Carol Collins,
Here.
Herb Forgy,
Here.
Peter MacGyver.
Mhm.
I know Peter's here. Jen Stromston. Jean Wall.
Here.
May Wiedegardner.
Here.
Okay, and Neil Joyce, you're on.
I am here.
And Dennis Ross, is Dennis on or still, or nobody is on from them, right, yet? I don't think
Not
so.
yet.
Okay. All right. And I don't think I missed anybody that's on the committee. All right. So I think we have a quorum. So can I have a motion to approve last meeting's minutes from September 21st?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We got a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? All right, great. We can move on to the agenda. So the first item I had on the agenda was, Neil, I thought if, in Chief, I don't know if you've seen them, but maybe Neil, if you could just talk briefly. I know we're going to move into the conceptual drawings that were sent out, but could you talk briefly on what you received from the city with respect to the survey? And if there's any
Sure.
details.
We got an as-built drawing of the parking lot profiles. So we have an idea of the side slopes of the parking areas that has been provided to one potential vendor that we've been working with for preliminary pricing on the apparatus bays. We'll sort of get into it a little bit more. We are entertaining two structures not one. So there'll be one apparatus bay on each of the lower 2 parking levels at Hope and Prescott. In addition, the DPW has provided us with a utility as-built drawing, so we can start to develop a plan for where we're going to pick up the utilities that will serve the temporary structures.
Okay, great. Was there anything else that we needed at the time, this time from the city with respect to survey? Or did you get all the information that you needed?
I'm not going to say we have everything we need, but they certainly gave us what we had asked for.
Okay, great. And that was it.
If you have, if you can tell me what you need, because I don't think Marlo's on this call, but if you will tell me what you need, or maybe you can't really at this stage of the game, but he's ready to, you know, comply with whatever else, so.
I spoke with Marlo today.
Oh, good.
We had a preliminary conversation about the potential to have the city perform some of the utility work. Eventually, once we get rolling into the design, we will have to shoot inverts of the sewers. We'll have to check inverts of existing drainage and catch basins. We'll need some more information for sure. And Marlo knows that it's coming.
Okay.
Neil, can you just briefly, is there a list of utilities that need to be discussed, just so we could have it on the record? I mean, obviously, most of them are obvious: electricity, storage, plumbing, water. But can you just give us a quick list of what the underground or overhead coming into the property is?
So Dave, you hit on most of them. We're gonna need an electric supply. Potentially, we may need 3 different electric services, one for each of the structures. It is unclear at this point whether or not we're gonna come overhead or underground. I know the chief initiated a discussion today with a representative from Eversource to begin talking about the best ways to provide power to the site. So that's one of the issues, and we'll certainly report more back on that later. Additionally, we will have to provide a domestic water service that will be both for the office trailers and for each of the apparatus bays. We will need to provide a waste line or a sewer line to drain the bathrooms in the office trailers, as well as potentially the washout bay or the washout system for the apparatus bays. We will have to provide phone and internet service, most likely via a fiber link to the local cable network. Chief, what am I missing? We have to make a connection to the traffic control signals up on Main Street, which will likely be an overhead line or wire. I think that's probably most of it.
Chief, you had mentioned radio system. Is there anything physically that has to be brought to the temporary for the radio dispatch system, or is that all wireless? I mean, other than
Yeah.
electricity.
We are in the process of changing to a new radio system, so that is yet to be determined.
Okay. All right.
Dave, our assumption for the radio system is there'll be, I'll call it the head end equipment, the computers that run the radios and the communication systems. Those will literally be picked up and moved from the old station to the temporary. And we're still evaluating any antenna needs or anything like that for the communications out of the temporary office trailers.
Okay, great. Folks, if you have questions on the committee, please raise your hand or speak up. I'll try to go through here and see if you have questions. Looks like, Mayor, you have a question?
Well, I think I heard you say at the very beginning, that do we have any new numbers in terms of how much things are going to cost? And if not, do we know when we're going to get that, or are we simply waiting to be able to go out for bid?
No,
You mean-
Mayor, we'll run some cost estimates, at least to get an idea of the ballpark of where we are. I think it's too preliminary at this point. I am working on it. I am hoping that I'll be ready in 2 weeks to share with the committee where those numbers are trending and what they're looking at. I can tell you right now that we did get 2 preliminary budget prices for the rental of both the apparatus bay and the office trailers. And those estimates were approximately $1 million.
Okay. And that was for, I'll say it again, for the apparatus bay.
Yes, we got 2 different proposals, one for the 2 apparatus bays and one for the office structures.
Okay. But not from the same supplier.
No, they were different vendors. Mayor, it
Yeah,
looks
different
like,
vendors.
not to get ahead of ourselves, but it looks to me like we're gonna have to solicit these, the office trailers under one procurement. The laws for Massachusetts are different for construction than for procurement or lease of temporary space. So we will wind up doing a Chapter 30B solicitation for the trailers. And we will do a 149 solicitation or bid for the fit out of the trailers after they're on site.
Okay,
Love the state.
I'm afraid, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to somewhat repeat that again, because you were cutting out about every 5th word.
Ma-
So if you have the ability to just restate that. It sounded like you said you were going to get 2 separate procurement processes, one for one thing and one for another.
Yeah, if you think of it as 2 packages.
Yeah, okay.
We're looking right now at a Chapter 30B procurement for
Okay.
the temporary structures.
Woo, now you have an echo.
Somebody might be logged in twice. If anybody's logged in twice, mute yourself or log out to one of your systems.
Okay,
The second piece, Mayor, of the procurement process would be for the fit out of the trailers. And that would include electrical connections, plumbing connections, a small amount of petitions inside of the space. And all of those would have to be procured using a Chapter 149 bid.
I'm sorry, G149?
Chapter 149, yes.
Yeah,
And I think we'll talk more of that when we get up to the preconceptual drawings.
Yep.
If we want to go into more detail.
okay.
David, I have a question.
Yes.
For Neil, the $1 million figure is for a year's rental? What's the
2.
time? 2 years.
2
Okay,
years, 24 months.
thank you.
All right.
Darryl?
So folks, does anybody have any questions with respect to the city survey and the utilities? So we could move on.
If it's just the utility, I did have a question. I may have missed a minute, but before Neil gave the price, when you talk about the cost estimate, that includes all the connections to everything and for 2 years and leasing all of it, the bays and the trailer.
It is, Carol, it's just the lease of the structures itself.
Okay, thank you.
It does not include any utility connections to it.
Wow, okay. And we'll cover other parts later, David?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll
I'll stop.
stick to the agenda and we'll cover parts.
Okay.
later. So Neil, if you could, you had mentioned working with the city about maybe them doing some of these connections. So if you could keep us posted on that with some details next time, that would be great.
Yeah, as the plan gets a little clearer, it'll make it easier to have those conversations with Marlo.
Okay, great. All right, I'm gonna move on. I just want to double check. Obviously there was programming needs that Chief had talked with Pacheco and you, Neil. Is that all been nailed down pretty much, the programming, Chief? You feel comfortable that that process has taken place?
So
Or is it still a work in progress?
I met with Pacheco Ross and Neil was there, and we have a good handle on it. Yes.
Okay. And
Yes.
Neil,
So
these
the
concept-
drawings,
Go ahead.
the drawings that have been completed that you were submitted for the temporary, I believe includes the what was done with the programming.
That was gonna be my next, is that a question or a statement? That was gonna be my next question.
It's my understanding that those drawings were based off of the programming that was done.
And can you confirm that, Neil?
To the extent that they were issued 48 hours after the conclusion of our discussion for the programming, yes.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions about the programming needs? Okay. All right, so I guess we can move on to the drawings. That's what I would like to do next. Neil, are you prepared to review the drawings without Dennis and team?
Sure.
I can share the content. I just don't know, do I share number one first? Is that what you want me to do, or does it matter?
Sure, we can talk to sheet one first, A001.
Yeah, hold on, give me a moment. Well, okay, why am I not doing this? Share. Hey, hold on a second. Let's try that again. Thought I was sharing my screen. Okay, anybody else have any hints here? I'm wondering
Let me
if
see.
maybe Chief has to do it. Do you have the files, Chief?
I will check, Mayor. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
While you're doing that, I just saw that Dennis Ross sent an email that they are down and out for today. The trees have taken down the power lines.
Okay,
Huh.
thank you, Carol.
Short.
Oh, for whatever reason, it says it's not being, it's not available for file sharing. I don't even know what kind, oh, it's a PDF. It should be able to be shared. That's weird.
I can try it. If Chief, are you still trying?
Once
I
you
don't know if I can
request,
do it on my-
once you try to share. Hi, Fernando speaking. Once, right now, Fire Chief is the one that's the host, so once you request to share, he's give you the permit to do it. Because he is the host.
Mayor, can you see that?
Yes, we can see it.
So that's my screen, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
I just gave everybody permission to be able to share.
Oh, boy.
So Neil, if that's your screen, you can share it.
Okay. So what you're seeing is the overhead view of the lower two layers of parking currently at Hope and Prospect Street. There's quite a collection of utilities. I think it's in Hope Street in this general location. So we're showing the water, the waste, and the power all being distributed through the retaining wall and into Hope Street, where we'll make our connections at some point in here. As I said earlier, or referred to earlier, they're proposing two different structures for the apparatus bay. One is two double deep bays, as shown on the left of the screen. And the other is a triple double deep bay with the capability for a drive-through bay in the middle. You'll see around each of the apparatus areas in each of the tents, there is firematic storage areas, areas for turnout gear, hose drying areas, storage areas, all associated with the equipment. And then inside of the offices, the blue area is indicated as administrative space. The green areas are bunk areas. Yellow is storage, restrooms, and utilities. There is intended to be a sheltered or covered walkway that runs from the offices into each of the apparatus bays, with the changes in elevation between the two structures being addressed either by stairs or by ramp between the two. We're still developing that further. There would need to be some space afforded on the site for temporary storage trailers. Those could certainly be elsewhere if the space wasn't available to us here. However, I think the chief would prefer to have everything in-house. The general flow of traffic in and out of this bay would simply be by drive in and back in, or excuse me, drive out and back in. And through the drive-through bay, the tower truck and the truck behind it would be afforded the ability to drive through. And the other pump trucks and engines would have to back in. We also are assuming, given the known truck radiuses and turning points, that we would make modifications to the existing curb cuts along Prospect and along the road or driveway to the rear of the lot on this side to afford ease of entry for the trucks into the new apparatus space. Any questions? Again, they're somewhat preliminary. They were drawn up and shown based on the programming and equipment layouts that we discussed with the chief last week.
So Neil, what is the next step with respect to drawings? When I'd like to set a timeline on when we think we're gonna have a set of drawings that can, you know, solidly go out for pricing. Is that a 2-week process, a 4-week process? You know, or
I-
what
I
is,
think-
or what
I think-
don't we have to be able to do that?
I believe at this point, I mean, this is a very conceptual level, schematic level drawing. In terms of the actuals, I think we had anticipated going out for bid somewhere around the 1st of December. I think we said it was a 6 to 8 week design process. Once we have buy-in from the department and from the committees that this is the intended path forward, the architect, I believe, is poised to execute his contract for this work and begin design work in earnest. And that point, you know, at that point, we'll be looking for much more detailed information on locations, layouts on the structures, locations of existing utilities, and all of that information will need to be mapped out and planned appropriately for bidding.
So the design process, how many weeks did you say the design process will be for that?
I think if, to go back to what we had originally said, I think we said it was a 4 to 6 week or 6 to 8 week process. And we were looking for opportunities to solicit and deliver the equipment through the winter months so that when the spring came, we'd be able to hit the ground, open up all the utilities, do the tie-ins, and have the buildings ready to go as early as possible in consideration of the library project.
So the design,
Go ahead, Mayor.
yeah, I've lost my question. I made the mistake of thinking of 2 questions at once, so I'll shut up for a minute while I reconstruct. And somebody else can ask a question.
Fine, don't start the broccoli yet.
Are there questions?
Somebody needs to mute, they have background noise or something.
Exactly.
Do we have another drawing? Are we ready to move to that, David?
If nobody has questions on this particular drawing, we can move to the second drawing.
The only question I'd raise,
Who's speaking?
It's Peter.
Peter, hi. Go ahead, Peter.
Neil, as far as David's question earlier, what step do we need to go to finalize that layout so that we can move this process for the trailer design forward?
My suspicion is once the programming is blessed and it's been checked and reviewed and everyone is comfortable with it, the next step is to lay it out, draw it up, and put it into the documents for solicitation. And that, like I said, that process is probably a good 4 to 6 weeks at a minimum away from now.
So we're talking mid to late November.
That was the original plan. Yes, Mayor.
Okay.
So I have a couple comments. I can wait for May. Do you have your questions ready?
That was the most important one of the 2.
Okay. So that November is when Neil, you said that's the timeline that things would go out to bid. Is that what you had? The drawings would be completed and we'd be ready to go out to bid by November?
December.
Yeah, likely December, Dave.
Okay. So you had mentioned that the 4 to 6 week process isn't going to start until we lock down programming 100%. So do we have a plan to do that and a timeline to do that?
I guess I would have to defer that answer to the chief.
So,
I think we're pretty good to go. I think our programming has been done and I think it's pretty accurate what he did. So for the temporary, I think they have addressed the concerns that we've had.
And Mayor, where are we with the designer contract?
It's with a lawyer. So I will rattle his chain tomorrow.
Okay. I mean, I've asked Dennis to put his fee together for this, whether
Okay.
it's part of his main contract or whether it's broken out under some separate agreement.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not own scope. So I'm trying to finalize that with Dennis and include those costs in my summary of the cost of the temp station.
Okay, I will, I know that there is, I signed a letter the other day to go ahead for the work, some of the work that he's already done. So that piece, that doesn't include this obviously, or what we're doing going forward, but that piece should be taken care of soon. But the other will be, I expect to get that back from the lawyer, well, certainly in the next couple of days. He's had it for a day and a half.
Okay.
so really, design can't start until we have a contract signed and agreed upon, correct?
Let me just say that I am hearing lots of thunder and dark clouds, so let's hope we get to stay online here shortly.
Okay, yeah, let's hope. So it sounds to me like design drawings can't happen yet until there's a signed contract and we're a go with Pacheco, Ross, correct? I just want to make that clear. I mean, we can't, we're not starting drawings today at this point. I mean, if the chief is comfortable with the programming, drawings aren't going to start until we have a contract. Is that correct, Neil?
That's my understanding.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody understands that. Because I like to set dates on things, and we're not going to set a 4-week complete drawing date until we know drawings are a
Correct.
go,
Yep.
right? So I think we'll all anticipate getting a contract signed pretty quickly. So obviously, as the drawing takes place over the 4 or 6 weeks, there's going to be questions, changes, new things added. But right now, again, according to the chief, the programming seems he's pretty comfortable with it. So we can't set any dates, but hopefully by next meeting, we have a design contract, a thumbs up on that. So would that be, if by next meeting, if we have a signed contract, does the 4 to 6 weeks start at that point, Neil?
Yeah, I would think so. I'd like Dennis to weigh in on that, but that was our original schedule.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Hi, this is Carol. I have a few, if I may. On this drawing, Neil, my eyes are definitely not what they used to be, but the trailer looks like it's 48 by 50. And on the other drawing, that's just the trailer that had the photos. It looked like it was like 60 by 60. So is that number firmed up, or is this the one to look at?
Carol, the truthful answer is that it's going to vary a little bit depending on the vendor that provides the equipment. Everybody's equipment is a little bit different. Trailer might be 55 feet long, it might be 50 feet long, it might be 48 feet long.
Okay.
The net square footage, which I believe is somewhere between 2,000 and 2,400 square feet, is what we're shooting for.
Okay. And then do you know how the $1 million price tag for leasing broke down between the bays and the trailer? Like how much?